Heresy was seen as a crime against the Church and an offence to God. It was believing in the wrong religion. People who committed the crime of heresy were known as heretics. Their punishment was being burned at the stake. This was a form of execution where the person was tied to a wooden stake and a fire was lit beneath them. Death was slow and painful, brought on by the shock to the body caused by the pain of the burns, or by choking on the fumes of the fire. The fire was meant to symbolise the fires of hell, the place where the heretic's soul was being sent to for committing a crime against God. Heresy was the only crime that carried this horrible punishment. Heresy became connected to the crime of treason in the 1500s because of the Tudors. Henry VIII found that his children who ruled after him decided that anybody who went against their religion was challenging their authority as the King or Queen of England. Hundreds of people were punished for heresy just for believing in a different religion to the monarch. To make matters worse, the Tudor monarchs followed different religions to each other. This period of English history is sometimes referred to as the Tudor religious rollercoaster because of the many religious changes that took place. The two religions in Europe at the time were Catholicism, led by the Pope in Rome, and Protestantism, the newer religion that questioned some aspects of Catholic belief. In 1534, Henry was in love with Anne Boleyn, but he was already married to Catherine of Aragon. This led to arguments with the Pope, who would not allow Henry to divorce and remarry. As a result, Henry declared himself head of the Church in England, and England split from the Catholic Church, causing a period of religious unrest and confusion as the country moved towards Protestantism. Many refused to take the oath of supremacy, which was an oath stating that they accepted Henry as the head of the Church in England and not the Pope. Henry punished hundreds of people for treason, and 81 for heresy for refusing the oath of supremacy. Henry had begun the English Reformation, a process which saw many Catholic churches reformed, with statues destroyed, items removed and monasteries shut down. By the time Henry's son became king, there was a big religious division in the country. Edward VI reigned from 1547 to 1553, and he was Protestant. Edward wanted to move England further away from Catholic beliefs. He introduced a new prayer book that was written in English. This went against the wishes of the Catholic Church, who said that prayer books and the Bible should be in Latin, and only priests should be able to read them. Catholic priests who argued against Edward's changes were imprisoned in the Tower of London. 2 of them were executed for heresy. Edward died at a young age, and when his sister Mary became queen, she would move the country back in the opposite direction and go against the changes her brother and her father had introduced. Mary I, who reigned from 1553 to 1558, was a strict Catholic, like her mother Catherine of Aragon had been. Mary was also married to the Catholic King of Spain, King Philip. She was heavily influenced by Spanish attitudes to heresy. In Spain, heretics were being investigated by the feared Spanish Inquisition, which punished heretics with torture.
So tell me, are you a Catholic or a filthy heretic? Heretic! Murder! She's lying! You see, Pepper, as head of the Spanish Inquisition, it's my job to make sure that Spain is completely Catholic, which means all the people with yucky religions have to convert or die!
In England, Mary tried to restore the power of the Catholic Church and make the Pope the head of the Church in England again. Turning or converting England back to a Catholic country was bound to cause a lot of upset because many people were now Protestant and happy to follow the new religion. Mary took a harsh approach to conversion and punished many people for the crime of heresy. Almost 300 Protestants were executed as heretics for refusing to follow the Catholic faith, 283 to be precise. They were given the choice to convert or die, to make a public statement that they had changed their religious beliefs.
Convert or die!
The Book of Martyrs, written in 1568 by John Foxe, describes the persecution of heretics by Catholic monarchs. John Foxe was critical of Mary because of the hundreds of executions that were carried out in her brief 5-year reign as queen. The Book of Martyrs gives her the nickname Bloody Mary. A famous execution was Nicholas Ridley, who had served as the Bishop of London under Edward VI. Because Nicholas Ridley had such an important role in the English Church and was well respected, his execution was shocking to the people at the time. In addition to the executions, 800 Protestant clergy were forced to flee abroad. Elizabeth I, who reigned from 1558 to 1603, was the last Tudor monarch. She moved England back to Protestantism, but tried to make some compromises. This was known as her middle way. There was a sharp drop in executions for heresy. Instead of burning at the stake, Elizabeth punished most heretics with fines or imprisonments, and the laws against heresy were repealed in 1559. Only 5 Catholics were burned as heretics. In 1612, the last ever person was executed for a religious crime in England, and the heresy laws were officially ended. Looking at the numbers of executions for heresy, it's clear that Mary executed the most people. Mary did not invent the crime. It dated back centuries before her, but she was more focused on it than any other English monarch.
Like, what's a heresy?
A heresy is an opinion or doctrine that goes against established religious beliefs.
Got it? Got it. Good!